Draft report on UFOs. The Pentagon's expert warning about a possible mothership coming close to Earth. Stay with us.
You've got the Pentagon talking about the idea of a mothership going above us and sending probes down.
Military whistleblower. UFO wreckage recovered by the U.S. kept classified by a secret government program for decades. Welcome to Elizabeth Vargas Reports, earning your trust every night.
Earning your trust every night.
UFOs exist. The U.S. government found quite a number of them, and they are indeed of non-human origin.
You are one of the most trusted former intelligence officials in the U.S. defense and intelligence establishment.
Yes, I was.
You were trusted with the most intimate secrets.
Yes.
What conclusion did you come to at the end of your time on the UAP task force?
The UAP task force was refused access to a broad crash retrieval program.
When you say crash retrieval, what do you mean?
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
We have spacecraft from another species.
We do, yeah.
How many?
Quite a number.
You're kidding.
No.
Quickly on this next one, Congressman, the House Oversight Committee will hold a UFO hearing after a military whistleblower claims there is extraterrestrial life. You are leading the investigation in 15 seconds. Will we get answers as to whether or not we're alone?
We're not alone, and we'll get some answers. And I talked to that man yesterday, and I'm hoping that he'll be in the hearing as well. But we've been planning this for quite some time.
Wow. He did it in 10 seconds, and now I'm utterly terrified.
But we've been planning this for quite some time.
Wow.
All right, welcome back, family. Here with both of the brothers for the first time in a while, and a major blessing. We have Mikey Jenny
on here
from Little Light Studios. So many of you guys know Mikey Jenny.
Yeah, he's been at some meetups.
Yeah, he's been around, and his ministry is growing. And he is one of those humble people that if you met in person like we did a long time ago, we had no clue he was actually a big-time YouTuber with a ministry that exposes lies just like we do, doing that. And he's been doing it for a while. And so he's here. Going to go ahead and bring him on. We are excited to have him here. This is pretty cool. Seeing him all over social media, little clips from things that he does. But Mikey Jenny.
Hey, man. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been such a blessing, man. I remember when I first met you guys, it was, I guess, about 3 years ago. I think it was 2017, something like that.
Yeah, late 2017, possibly.
And yeah, man, it was 5 years ago. Wow.
That was one of the first meetups we were at, actually.
Yeah, but I was just like, it's crazy because
I was closet at that point.
I had stumbled upon y'all's channel. So this is kind of like the same thing. I'd stumbled upon y'all's channel. I was like, whoa, these guys are awesome. And then when I met you guys, the people kind of gave you a chance to talk up front, and you said you're FEB, and I was like, no way. And I was like, you guys came from like California or something. Like, no, we live right here. So really cool, man, to see how all this goes full circle like this.
Yeah. I think we had a conversation in the parking lot. We were leaving the event, and then we connected. We started talking to you and your dad, and that was one of the funniest testimonies. I love your dad's wake up moment when he's waking up, and you've been sharing the proofs about the biblical earth with him when he finally woke up. And how did that go? What was it you and him said back and forth when he finally said?
Hilarious. We were sitting in the car, and we had been going over some of this stuff a little bit, like, oh, this is interesting. Oh yeah, but what about this? And I had been looking at it a lot longer than he had, so I'd already went through all those kind of questions, like, what about this and that? And so I had answers for him, and he was like, what if the earth isn't moving, but it's still a ball? And I was like, dude, like, we've looked at so much proof like that it's not moving. And he goes, I don't want to be a flat earther. And I was just like, it was hilarious, dude.
I think that so many people, you don't want that label.
Yeah,
I remember him. I don't want to be a flat earth person. What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
And there we were at the gathering in front of people. And they had big banners up, and some of our friends saw us that didn't know that about us. and we're like, oh, you are with these people. We're like, yep, that's us.
Yeah, that was back in the day when we still all of our videos didn't have our face on it anywhere. So nobody only unless you recognized our voice, which I think it was Dr. Lee was on there. He recognized our voice, Daryl Lee. Yeah, and he's like, wait a second, I know that voice. But yeah, it was funny being at that meetup, the very first one, and some of my friends who had no idea that me and Josh were in the Flat Earth saw us going back there and started asking questions to the server. And so every time I go to their cabin, they'd be like, oh, you really believe the earth is flat? And they gave me so much, kind of just picking on me over it. And I was like, hey,
but the guy believes in ancient aliens, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight, because Mikey has a cool testimony. You were actually at my house the other day after our meetup we had that was local, and talking about how important this deception is, not just for the upcoming deception, but for people that are already in that lie. There's people in that ancient alien lie now. And so share your testimony on that. I think that's really powerful for people who think, oh, this is no big deal. We don't need to be talking about this. What does this have to do with the Bible, when it has everything to do with it?
Yes, we definitely have to talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, then where are the people that questions going to get answers from? If they can't get the answers from the church, they're going to go somewhere else. So I was raised in the church. My parents taught me all about Jesus being the only way. And I went to Vacation Bible School and Awanas and all these things. And at a young age, probably about 8 or 9, I remember nobody pressured me into it. I was by myself, and I just felt like I'm a sinner that needs a savior. There's nothing I can do to earn heaven. I knew that I had already lied, stole, cussed, all those things. And I just realized it was kind of like my age of accountability. I realized that I need a savior to be able to get to God. So I received Christ, and I was kind of on fire for a while. I was going to these exciting youth groups where it was all kind of, I was surrounded by all these teenagers that were really cool, and they were going on mission trips. And it was kind of a rowdy youth group. I remember like mosh pitting to Jesus Freak, DC Talk, and all this stuff. So I was really excited in the beginning, but then I just began to get seduced by the media. Something I didn't mention too is I was always intrigued by the paranormal. My entire life, I've been a true seeker, open-minded skeptic, those 3 things. And so I remember I went to school in public school, and I would check out books in elementary school, 3rd grade, checking out books on ghosts and aliens, like photographs of ghosts and UFOs and things like that. And I was totally convinced. I was like, dude, there's just too many pictures and all this stuff. And back then it was not easy to fake stuff. I mean, now you can't trust anything with AI, but so at about 10 and 11, so I mean, it was kind of short-lived. My zeal for being a Christian was maybe a year or 2 before I started to be seduced by the world, because my parents always tried to say, we're not going to watch The Simpsons, we're not going to watch Beavis and Butthead, we're not going to watch MTV, all these things. And but I got to the age where I could stay home by myself or spend the night at friends' houses. And that was the time when Mortal Kombat was just coming out. It was the first, like the first violent video game with fatalities and all that. And I remember a friend had that, and I was like, ooh, like I knew like I wasn't supposed to be playing this. I was like nervous, but it's so fun, Yeah. And then when my parents would go to the store, I'd be turning on MTV, and it'd be like spring break, and everybody's half naked, getting drunk, hooking up, and there's bands playing. It's like, that looks fun. And to me, I knew that's not any place for a Christian to be. And but I started to think, is Christianity just trying to keep us from having fun? Like, what is it? So I started to just ask really tough questions. I had a lot of tough questions anyway, because I'm a truth seeker. And I started getting these cop-out answers from Christians, like, well, some things we just won't know till we get to heaven. And that just added to my skepticism. I'm like, man, these people don't know what they believe. They don't have the truth. They don't have answers. They're a bunch of hypocrites. And so because of what I was seeing, this ghosts and aliens and all this stuff, I had questions like, well, why can't we play the Ouija board? What's wrong with the Ouija board? And it would usually just be like, I don't know, it just looks bad, or I've heard bad things. We need answers. We need to say, look, this is exactly why you shouldn't watch this. This is exactly why you shouldn't play this. And so at Little Light, that's what we aim to do, is to give the why, because so many people grew up saying, hearing, no, that's bad. don't do that, don't watch that, but they're not given a why. And so I think when you don't have answers, that's going to just cause rebellion. And so I went down the road of witchcraft and all that stuff, and internet was just coming out. And I spent a lot of time reading like these message boards and forums about people who were, they were sharing their experiences of what they were experiencing when they would play with a Ouija board or do casting spells and things like that. But I do thank God that my mom never stopped praying for me, because I think that really had an effect on me not seeing anything that really proved to me that witchcraft was real. Like every time I would mess with it, it was just, I'd see somebody playing with a Ouija board and I'd say, let me get on there, and I'd put my hands on it and nothing would happen. Or I'd go trying to go ghost hunting in graveyards. And usually if you're a person that's seeking that stuff out, that's like open invitation for the devil to deceive you. But I never saw anything that proved to me. So, there's still a little bit of skepticism, to the point where I was like, what is the purpose of this life? Like, why am I here? I didn't ask to be born. I didn't ask to be faced with all these decisions. Like, who will you serve? Your whole eternity depends on it. I was like, I just want to live my life, die, and rot in the grave. Like, I don't want to be faced with all this stuff. But ultimately, my cousin inspired me to read the Bible, came to Christ. The rest is history. It's been an ever growing process. But when I first accepted Christ, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't really, I didn't have any fruit. I'll say that. For like 8 years, I was still living like the world, but I basically like added Jesus to my friends list. Like, yeah, he's my bud, but I didn't surrender my life to him, And so I was still trying to figure out like, well, what's this whole thing with aliens? At the time I was so biblically illiterate that I didn't even know that evolution couldn't have been used by God. Like I thought, well, maybe God used evolution. A day is like 1,000 years. Maybe somehow I used it, but dude, that's ridiculous. In the creation story, just for anybody that's maybe questioning that, in the creation story, it says in the evening and the morning was the first day. The evening and the morning, that's a 24-hour day. Besides, the plant life was created the day before the sun, moon, and stars. So plants can't live 1,000 or 1,000,000 years before the sun existed.
That's a good one. I like that.
There's a whole lot of reasons why God didn't use evolution, mainly because it says that God created Adam from the dust of the ground. He didn't create some one-celled amoeba that over millions of years evolved into Adam. But I was trying to figure out, how does aliens and the Bible go together? And I thought, God, I believe that God created everything. God created this vast, endless, ever expanding universe. Then it seems kind of narcissistic to think we're the only life in his universe. And then this amazing show came out called Ancient Aliens, and it was on the History Channel. So, it's real. They're telling you historical facts, and they were showing things. I don't know if I can share my slides or not.
Yeah,
I have some slides on this. Let's see.
And while he's doing that, anybody that's watching, the link for his ministry and his documentary is in the description. It's Little Light Studios on YouTube, and they have a massive following, 180,000 subscribers, 491 videos. So a lot going on there. And definitely check that out, especially his UFO documentary. His skills at editing go far beyond anything that I can currently do. So definitely check that out.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay. I can't see you guys. All I see is the presentation. But so the ancient astronaut theory is a theory. I have some old books on it written like in the 60s by some guy, the return of the gods and all this stuff. But basically, the idea is that this, a long time ago, people maybe they weren't really Neanderthals. Maybe they were really intelligent, and they were actually traveling to space, because we have all these like ancient artifacts that look like people with spacesuits on. And then they find, etchings and walls that look just like alien grays. Now, I do believe this stuff. I believe that this is true, because I do believe people have been seeing these beings for many, many years. Ancient Aliens. This screenshot says celebrating 10 years, but I first saw it, about 10 years ago. I saw it in like 2012. But it's been, it's still been going on. And so they would show things like this, like a UFO etching on a wall, and even UFOs and like medieval artwork and more etchings. But then something like this came on screen. And this is where the deception is really heavy, because Satan is not going to just destroy the Bible. He's not going to just say, look, the Bible's fake. He can't do that. The Bible's so true. It's been backed up by so much evidence, so much archaeological evidence, so much scientific evidence. You know, it's changed people's lives, millions of people's lives for thousands of years. He cannot get rid of it, but he can explain it away. And so when I saw something like this, where Moses was led out of the wilderness by a pillar of fire, that's actually a beam from a UFO, it totally made sense to me. I was like, wait a minute, this makes sense, because it also says that they followed a pillar of cloud by day, and that could have been the exhaust from a UFO. You know, then the Bible also talks about Ezekiel seeing a wheel within a wheel with eyes all around it. And they said, look, this was just a primitive person describing a UFO. They didn't know what lights were. They just saw these things, and they thought they were glowing eyes on a wheel within a wheel describing a flying disc. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, this totally makes sense. It didn't make me stop believing in God. It just made me think that God created this vast universe, all these planets and stuff. If God would send angels to shut the mouths of lions, well, why wouldn't he say, hey, alien Grays, you have the technology to travel down there. I'm going to send you on a mission to lead these people out of the wilderness. To me, it made perfect sense, because God uses agents more so than he does things just on his own. He always, he sends us to do things. He sends angels to do things. And so this was totally like making everything fall into place for me. And I bought this lie hook, line, and sinker until about 2012. So it was 2005 when I accepted Christ. And then, I started seeing this stuff, I don't know, maybe around 2008 or something. But this is when I thought I was really finding the answers. And then God just woke me up in December 2011 that just totally destroyed like everything I knew about my reality, basically.
Wow. So that's awesome. And somebody was saying where in the Bible does it talk about this? Just to be clear, Mikey's not saying this is the story of creation. He's saying that's what he was deceived into believing when he was doing his truth investigation with the ancient alien thing. That's why we're actually having this conversation. He was kind of
enticed by the whole ancient alien idea.
Yeah, I really hope that's clear. I'm not promoting this idea.
Jump right in. They jump into the conversation late, and they're
yeah, I am not promoting this idea at all. I'm saying it's being promoted by the scientific world, and it's just getting everything is the stage is being set. This was back then. Maybe a few people were seeing this stuff, and maybe some people were believing it, some people weren't. But now it's getting to the point where the military is on the news telling people alien or UFOs are real. We've been seeing them every day for years. Yeah. And now it's getting even further to where they're saying, well, they're not just, unidentified flying objects. We have alien craft, and we have been communicating with non-human intelligences since the 70s. Like, that's where we're at. And this just keeps going and going and going. I mean, that's a little bit more persuasive than, just something on the History Channel, right?
Yeah, it's gone so far beyond that. And as somebody that doesn't watch the news, it's still finding people like me that try to stay away from the propaganda, but they're pushing it so hardcore. It's showing up like you can't go on any other side platform and not see somebody talking about this whistleblower who's the first one in decades who's not afraid to die, going out and talking. And when they're filming him, you watch the footage, and they've got him pretending to be walking out of the White House, pretending to be some military high-ranking person. It's like, and they never give names or show anything. It's just to further increase that mystery. And that deception is here, because when we started sharing this stuff 5 years ago, people would comment like a year later and say, where is this stuff? Why is there nothing happening with this deception? But we're seeing them slowly plant seeds. And right now, they're claiming to have alien craft. And that's showing us how close we are to their final deceptions with this stuff, which I don't think they'll stop with it. I think this could go on.
Yeah, what you're going to see, and I think you're already seeing this, but you're going to see every major news outlet cover this to the point that it just becomes everyday talk. Like, oh yeah, they're here. We know, we've already said they're here, and now we're just going to tell you we do have stuff. We have done this, blah blah. They're going to get it to where it's just, oh, okay, it's just here, and you're going to hear it over and over and over again, and that's how they always operate. They put it in front of us so much that we just go, okay, no big deal.
Yep. Yeah, just like all the predictive programming in the movies and stuff, like the technology that we have now, we're almost impressed with. Like in elementary school, I used to like dream of a time when you could like talk to somebody face to face on camera, and now we just do it so nonchalant. We're like, oh yeah, it's not. We're not in the future. Like we're just like, oh man, life is boring and it's lame, and it's like, what? Like this is like the future. Like if you went, and it happens so rapidly, because I think like the first flip phone came out in like 2000 or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, just like 20 years now, it's like we're going live. It's like, hey, nobody used to be able to do that. You had to like, hey, can I get on Fox News tonight?
Yeah, they were technically doing what we're doing on the moon 50 years ago.
Yeah, and I find it odd though that just recently we were at work and they had called everybody into the auditorium for all the teachers anyway. They called us down and said we're gonna have this meeting, and nobody knew what it was about. And they're like, it was one of our media like technology specialists telling us, hey guys, guess what? You're about to be able to do pretty much anything with AI. You're going to plan all your lessons. You can say, create me this, and it'll do it for you just like that. And I thought it's very odd, the timing. All of a sudden, it just in the past few months, AI can just now do whatever. It can do anything. It just feels odd to me that it's right now.
Yeah,
and now they're also saying alien, so it's like, what are they trying to prep us for? And why is this technology just now being released in the way that it is?
Well, it's very interesting where we are in time with like the 1,000-year time frame. You're saying like a day is 1,000 years. We're in the 6th day, and man was made in the 6th day, and now the enemy's trying to make man right now. That 7th day is coming up. They know their time is running out. I mean, that's why things like the Antarctic Treaty expire in the 2040s. They can kind of guesstimate, okay, we're getting close. Our time.
Yeah.
They knew their time was running out when they talked to the Messiah when he was here. Like they didn't want to be tormented before their time, so they know there's a time coming. So they're desperate right now with all these things.
Real quick, speaking on that 7,000 year theory, because I've heard a lot of people talk about that. I was wondering if you took a timeline and showed 6,000 years, would Christ's cross be like right in the middle? Because that would be interesting, because back in the Old Testament, nobody was saved by works. We were all saved by faith, but they were saved by faith in the future Messiah to come, and now we're saved by faith in the past Messiah. And I wonder if it was right in the middle of the timeline. It'd be like Jesus came right in the middle of Earth's history.
You were talking about that. We were talking about this, I think, last time when you were here. You look at our calendar now. Where it was like the year 2000, everybody thought the world was going to end. That third, if you look at each day or each millennium as a day of creation, so right, we're in the 6th millennium since creation will be the 6th day. It gets extremely fascinating. So right at the end of that 4th day was when Yeshua came. So it's kind of towards the middle. But that prophecy in Hosea says on the 3rd day is when he's going to resurrect us, like bring us up. It's really cool because we changed our calendars, and now, we're in the year, that 2nd millennium. The new millennium is what they called it, but it's like a new day. We're not quite there yet. We're not quite to the 3rd day. We're getting extremely close, but it's also going to be like it's the 7th day technically. So the 7th day and 3rd day. Since we have a new calendar, it makes more sense. If you start the countdown from when Yeshua left, we're quickly approaching that 3rd day. If you go from creation, we're about to enter the 7th day. And so it's significant because when you look back when the Father came with cloud, originally it was towards the end of the day when he came. It was on that 3rd day. So it gets fascinating. And I believe that's why we're seeing time or things go like they are now with the deceptions. And it's a powerful thing to do is look at that chapter and how it matches up with creation.
Yeah.
With that new first day being after Yeshua resurrected, what happened on the first day of creation? His spirit hovered over the waters. The first day after Yeshua, that first 1,000-year period, what happened with the Holy Spirit? It moved, across the people. You had Pentecost, and so it starts to parallel. It's beautiful. The word's so interconnected. This topic's huge, and people are starting to watch that Messiah. I think it's called Messiah 2030 video is going viral.
Oh, yeah.
People are sharing that, and it's similar to what we were talking about with that because other people have talked about it. I didn't invent the concept, but yeah, I think it's a cool way to look at time and would make sense when you see all the interconnectedness with Jonah on the third day and Yeshua resurrected on the third day. Like, it makes perfect sense.
Speaking of AI, I saw an article that said, I don't know if it's like how accurate, or I didn't read in depth on it, but that Schwab guy said that we need AI to rewrite the Bible to make it accurate.
There's no bias there.
And there are people turning to an AI version of Jesus too. I hear that they're like asking questions, and this AI is trying to present itself as this Messiah that can answer what Jesus would say.
Yeah, you were talking about now Ouija board that you can actually talk directly to Jesus with. They say.
Oh yeah.
Like, how creepy is that?
You can't make
it's like.
Oh, when you look at the Amazon reviews, there's people that are like, "Oh, I'm so glad that I can talk to the Holy Spirit every day and before I go to work and stuff." And
they're fooled by it. It's weird, and I think I thought it was like a joke, like a gag present.
Right?
People are really using this thing and trying to communicate with the Messiah, which is mind blowing. They're using a Ouija board.
That's insane. But yeah, the reason we're talking about this being such an important topic is because I had a lot of questions about this subject, and the church didn't have good answers for me. So I'm seeing that now. I mean, now more than ever. I mean, even when I was asking those questions, I was intrigued by things I was seeing in books at the library. Now it's on the news, and the military is telling you, like, how much more are people going to want answers? And if the church looks at this like it's some tinfoil hat conspiracy theory and we shouldn't talk about that, that's going to, it's going to freak people out of the church, and they're not going to come because they think we're weirdos or whatever. Where do you think people are going to go to get their answers? I mean, right now, it's so ironic to me that people say, don't shove your beliefs down my throat. All you have to do is like share your Christianity. Like, hey, can I give you a Gospel of John? And they'll be like, don't shove your beliefs down my throat. But it's like, wait a minute. Have you ever watched the media? Because it's constantly shoving New Age down your throat, shoving witchcraft down your throat, shoving the occult down your throat. And what is being mocked and ridiculed is Christianity. God's being blasphemed. Christianities are made to look like Ned Flanders, hi dilly ho, and all this stuff. And so if you really want to look at what the main narrative is, this is the stuff that's being attacked. Christians are being attacked. Christianity is being attacked. And it's the occult and the New Age that's being shoved down your throats. But, you can't even watch TV without, you see a State Farm commercial and the dude's in a yoga pose and, candy bar, let's do yoga together.
Yeah.
And so where do you think people are going to go if they're not getting the answers in the church? All these young people are going to go straight to the New Age because these are the people who are channeling them, talking to them. I mean, if the church guy says, oh no, we don't, we don't believe in all that, we don't talk about that, and then they go start talking to their friends who are into New Age, they're going to be like, oh, you don't know about the aliens? Come on, let's hold hands and let's pray and we'll see a UFO, and then I'll talk and it'll be an alien talking to you. And if they see this stuff, that's what it talks about. It says that many will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. This is what you can't fall from a faith you didn't have. So this once saved, always saved stuff is nonsense. This is talking about people in the church are going to be so deceived by this last end time delusion that only the elect is smaller than a broad version of Christianity. Only the elect are not going to be deceived by this. People who stand on a thus saith the Lord and who have answers. But anybody who's just a lukewarm Christian or whatever, when they see this, it says that they're going to fall for the signs and the miracles. I actually have slides of these scriptures too.
Yeah, it reminds me of Egypt when the people were about to be set free. They would always try to match the Father's miracles with their own little lying signs and wonders and trick people.
Yes.
And so how much greater is it going to be now that they've had all these thousands of years to hone in on these exact same types of tricks, lying signs, and wonders.
Right.
Because it's going to be just like it says, unclean spirits deceiving kings of the earth, deceive everybody.
Yeah. Can you see the slides?
Yeah, I got it. I can see it.
So, you know, for anybody that thinks like, well, I don't know about this topic, you know, 1 Peter 3:15 says, but sanctify the Lord God in your hearts and be ready always to give an answer to every man that asketh you a reason of the hope that is in you with meekness and in fear. So we're told to always be ready to have an answer. It says in 2 Thessalonians 2:3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. So we know that Christ isn't coming back until there's a falling away. And this falling away is talking about in the church. So again, this whole once saved, always saved thing, it's talking about Christians are falling away. 1 Timothy 4:1-2 says, now the Spirit expressly says that in the latter times some will depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of demons. Revelation 12:9 says that Satan is going to deceive the whole world. I mean, how is Satan going to deceive Muslims, Buddhists, atheists? How can he deceive atheists who don't even believe in anything paranormal or supernatural? He's going to come as these cosmic saviors who are visitants from other worlds, because that can be accepted by every person in the world. Revelation 13:13-14 says that he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles. So this isn't just like, you know, I watched a couple episodes of Ancient Aliens and now I'm a believer. We're going to be seeing stuff. We're going to be seeing fire come down from heaven. We're going to be seeing miracles. It says, for there shall arise false Christ and false prophets, and they shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. So signs, wonders, miracles, fire from heaven. Like, this is going to be such an overwhelming deception that if you are not completely grounded in the truth, you will fall for it. So much that Jesus said, hey, if they say he's in the desert or the secret chamber, don't go. He said, don't even like think you can go and say, yeah, I don't believe this, you know, I'm going to go. No, you will fall for it. It's that deceptive that Jesus said, don't even look at it.
Yeah.
So there's those scriptures that I'm really passionate about, but this is even slipping into the Christian world. Have you guys ever heard of these cartoons?
Oh, wow. Storyteller Cafe.
Yeah.
That looks like it'd be a popular kids.
Yeah. It's like a Christian Toy Story that's shown on CBN or TBN, you know.
Yeah. Trinity.
And over here, this is Elevation Kids. And they said, listen to the adventures of the Star Keepers and their mascots, this alien. And it's like, wow. Yeah, this alien
is about the gospel.
Yeah, your friendly little alien in a UFO.
Pushing two lies, the outer space and the ancient alien thing.
Yep.
Christian
Right now, the VBS thing is there's a big one right now happening that's all about space. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
It's called Stellar or something like that. That's the theme. And I thought it was just like in my parents' small town where they're at. I saw a big banner of it. But then now I'm seeing pictures pop up online of people saying, is your VBS doing this? And so it's a big one.
Yeah, they are.
I can go through some of this presentation if you want.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I want you to share as much as you can while you're here, because we're about to go on the road. And I was fortunate to have Mikey come on, so we want to share anything you want to share, because your ministry, awesome. it targets a lot of this programming stuff. And I think when you came over and you were showing my wife and I, my mother-in-law, all these things, their minds were blown, because we see a lot of the stuff when we watch TV, all the predictive programming, but you guys take it to a whole new level, and you're showing how they make these bad guys always resemble the Most High. And I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's super deep. It's like, people have to understand, you know, the pushback people always have is like, look, it's just mindless entertainment. It's not that deep. That's really a slap in the face to these writers, because these writers are like, they're putting everything into it. And it's really a bias statement anyway, because if you look up, go on YouTube and type "The Matrix changed my life," you will see testimony after testimony. People like, dude, my whole life was totally changed after the Matrix. Like, I just couldn't even see life the same way. And it's so mind blowing, so deep, and blah, blah. And then we show, yeah, it really is deep. Look at all this Gnostic theme. Oh, you're looking way too deep into it. It's just a movie, man. And you can't look at it both ways. It can't be both ways. Everything in a movie, there's nothing by accident. Scotty worked in Hollywood. Anything that's like a picture on the wall, whatever, every single thing on that set was designed. And if it's not in the right place, some writer or director is going to come out and say, you know, reprimand them. That's not right. Fix this. The color's not right, or whatever. There's no accidents in a movie. Every frame can have something in it. And so that's where we, you know, I used to, when I was looking at this topic, and this is where I want to try to give like different views, because we've been talking about how this is a deception, but how can the viewer right now who's viewing live, how can they prove that this is a deception? They have to have some kind of evidence. If your neighbor comes up to you and says, did you know that the military is talking about UFOs and all this? And you say, yeah, it's a big deception. How are they going to believe you? Yeah. They're going to have to believe you over the military and the mainstream media news, this worldwide Goliath. You have to be able to prove it. Be ready always to give an answer. So, you know, we have History Channel and stuff saying that they've been seeing these things all through history, etching them on walls and stuff. But we also know that our military, the Nazis, the US military, they've created these crafts. Like, we have physical crafts that look like this. So how come when we see something flying in the sky, like automatically we're like, oh, it's an alien from another world? Because we've been brainwashed with all this propaganda all throughout history. Even before the radio or whatever, it was like graphic novels, and then it was the radio and everybody's sitting around, and War of the Worlds and all this. Then the TV came out, and a Star Trek, and then a Star Wars, and then it just goes on and on and on. We've been told over and over and over that if you see anything flying in the sky, it's an alien. 90% of the sightings, they just see something glowing in the sky anyway. It's not like they say, oh, I saw nuts and bolts and it was physical. They're just seeing something glowing and going across the sky. So how come automatically they're like, I saw a UFO, you know, I believe in aliens? Because of this. You know, say 300 years ago, if somebody would have saw a glowing thing fly across the sky, they might be more likely to say, whoa, I saw something spiritual, you know, something paranormal. And then, you know, most of us have seen this clip where Reagan is at the United Nations saying, you know, how could we unite the world together? Maybe if a UFO came, you know, we'd set aside all our differences. So literally he's telling you at the United Nations, that we could form a one world order, a new world order, if there was an alien invasion. Now, all of a sudden, here it is. Interesting. So I have some news clips here of the military. This stuff's like 2 years old now. And this guy was saying, yeah, we see UFOs every day. I don't know if you'll hear the clip. Let me see. Can you hear that?
Let me see if there's a way to.
If not, I can just kind of talk about the clips. I mean,
yeah, that's interesting. I could see it moving. That was cool. I don't know.
Oh, could you hear it?
No, I could see it moving.
We didn't hear any sound on there.
Not on our end. If anybody else could, let us know.
Yeah, if you guys want to see these clips, it's all in the documentary, the 35-minute documentary called Disclosed. But yeah, this is, you know, Navy fighter pilot guy talking about, yeah, every day for a couple of years, we see UFOs on the news 2 years ago. Coincidentally, in December 2019, under the Trump administration, we got a Space Force. So right before COVID, right before, you know, the announcement of UFOs, we have a new branch of the military that's literally creating giant weapons pointed towards the heavens. Why would that be? You know, this would, let's say 10, 15, 20 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, people would have laughed at this. They would have scoffed at this. Like, what Space Force? What are we talking? What are we doing? We don't believe in aliens and all this stuff. So for them to create these weapons, they had to start pumping out propaganda, like in the mainstream media news, that, hey, there's an asteroid. It's coming close to Earth this year, guys. Over and over. We've never seen it happen. They just always say it. Look, an asteroid that could destroy half of the United States.
Narrowly missed. Didn't even see it.
Yeah. And then now it's UFOs. So now the public's like, oh, well, thank God we got a Space Force, right? But if we truly believe Bible prophecy, in Bible prophecy, it says, I'll go to the clip, or I'll go to the verse here.
Wow, I can tell your presentations are like ours. You have so many different.
So it says, I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs. And I just think it's interesting that these demons are literally described as being like frogs. And yet that's what these grays look like. Come out of the mouth of the dragon, out of the mouth of the beast, out of the mouth of the false prophet, for they are the spirits of devils working miracles. Like we said, that's what people are seeing. They're seeing miraculous signs and wonders in the sky, which go forth unto the kings of the earth. We're talking like your presidents and the military and the news, the kings of the earth and the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. So we know that the only thing that's coming to earth is Christ. Like, there's no UFOs, there's no asteroids coming. The threat that's coming to earth is Christ. If you're not on his side, he's not a threat if you're on his side. But the majority of the world, we know the majority of the world is not on that straight and narrow path. And at some point, like I said, if we really believe this, if we believe that this is going to happen, how is it going to happen? Well, just like all the big rulers of the world, they use propaganda. They've been priming us, preparing us over all these years. So now they're telling us, hey, there's something out there. We need a Space Force. We need to point weapons towards the heavens, and we're preparing for this battle. And what I believe, and I can't like show you exactly in scripture, but I think that there's allusion to it here, that these beings are going to come to earth and they're going to say, look, we've come because we've been watching you ever since the atomic bomb. That's when the atomic bomb dropped. That's when they said sightings started going crazy. These beings are going to say, look, we've been watching you since the atomic bomb. You guys are self-destructive. We came because we don't want to see you annihilate yourselves. We've noticed that you have you've been plagued by a disease, that there's just addictions and there's chaos everywhere. And we have come to help bring peace. But also we came because we know that there's an evil alien invader who's trying to take over your planet. And the only way you're going to be able to defend yourself is if you let us help you, because we have this special technology. Now, this is what it says, that these unclean spirits are going to go to the militaries of the world to fight against Christ. And so I believe that that's the time when there's like a line drawn in the sand, because it's like at that point, you're either making a decision to side with demons to fight Christ, or you're going to stand on thus saith the Lord and say, no, these are demons. And the whole world is going to look at you like public enemy number one. You don't care about humanity. Even like this climate change and all that stuff, people act like you don't want a future for our grandkids. Imagine when we're told that there's an alien trying to take over our world, and the only way is to team up with these aliens. You're going to be called a bigot. You're going to be called like somebody that doesn't care about humanity. And I think that's going to be the time when you really have to make a hard, and it's going to be a very hard decision, because you're going to have to believe what's written in this ancient book over all the miraculous signs and wonders and the deception that's coming. And this is going to be crazy, man.
Yeah. And when you were talking about that, I just thought about something, is when we had the pandemic going on, who was being silenced and who was being shunned. And it was the people who were saying, this is a deception. There's a purpose. There's an agenda. Those people were being silenced. And so when you see this stuff being played out that you're talking about, the people who are saying, this is something we've been trying to warn you people about. This is what Von Braun said on his deathbed. This is what we've been saying for years. Here's proof that the creation model is 100% accurate. All those things are, they're already being silenced. But I can only imagine with the rollout of the pandemic, almost seems like them practicing how well we can science people who say certain words, and they mastered it. It seemed like during that time. So I couldn't imagine how much better it would be now that they've had practice.
For sure.
Yeah.
Since I don't have audio on those slides, you really want to watch the documentary because it's got the clips, but it shows you basically this documentary shows the different viewpoints of this. It could be the History Channel's right. It could be that, these beings have always been around and they're just from other worlds and they helped Moses out of the wilderness. It could be that. But when you look at all the evidence, you have to make a decision based on all the evidence, not one piece. So the other evidence is that New Agers and even, Demi Lovato got baptized like 3 years ago in the Jordan River. And now she's saying, I'm non-binary. I meditate in fields and I see UFOs appear and you can channel these beings. So now we have a self-professed Christian saying that you can channel aliens. And so you got these influencers of the world. Kesha is another one. Kesha and Demi Lovato.
He's very into the occult. Kesha.
Yeah. And so they're influencing the young people by saying, look, man, it's really hip and cool. You can channel these things. Now, here's the question. If these things that we're seeing and people are talking about seeing, and we just saw in the news that they said that these 10-foot beings with big shiny eyes were in my yard in Nevada. This stuff's not making the news now. If these are just physical beings that are, traveling here on spaceships from another world, then why do they appear when people meditate? Why do they appear when people literally look up in the sky and pray and say, show yourself to me? And then they see one and they get so excited. That makes no sense. If you're a physical being that's, just traveling by sometimes, how they're hearing you and they're able to travel millions of light years away just like that, just to answer your prayer. And then you have people who are into the New Age who are channeling them, and they talk and they give a message from an alien, and people write it down and they record it and everything. If that's the case, if these beings are just visitors from another world, just physical beings, how are you channeling them? This is what the Bible describes as a medium. This is what's the word I'm looking for?
Familiar spirit.
Not necromancy. That's with the dead. But oh man. But anyway, communicating with familiar spirits, communicating as a medium. That doesn't happen with physical beings. I can't have Josh or Michael speak through me. It just doesn't happen. But the Holy Spirit can speak through you, and demons can speak through you, right?
Yeah. Unclean spirits been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, we were at a place we stayed just the past couple of days where they had cable on television. We don't have cable TV. We don't watch the news, the commercials. And I was amazed at how many alien news things that like just flipping through the news and stopping for a second. We were like, let's just see what they're saying just as a joke, right? Wow. And they're talking about, these spaceships, these UFOs have been interfering like you were talking about with the nuclear weapons and stuff. Yeah, they've been intervening with all of our wars for decades and decades. It always goes back to that kind of.
CBN News, Christian Broadcast. Network News. There's a clip. It's actually not in the documentary because it's kind of more recent, but during the Ukraine and Russian war, they said the Ukrainians were praying to God for help. And this is on the news. The Ukrainians were praying to God for help, and they said UFOs came and blasted the tanks of the Russians. Now, this is mainstream media news that Russian tanks were destroyed by UFOs. And the interesting thing is that Christians are saying, we made a video on it, and I'm telling you, 50% of the comments were like, praise God, he answers prayers. And the other were like, this is a alien, this is a demonic deception. Mm-hmm. So even in the Christian world, we're torn on this idea. When you see a UFO that laser beams a tank, is it of God or is it demonic? So that's why this is such a huge topic, because it's really going to deceive a whole lot of people. A whole lot of Christians are going to be deceived if we don't talk about this and if we don't study into it. And my heart is so burdened for the young people, man, who have a lot of tough questions, because they're going to go where the answers are. And if we don't have them, I'm so fortunate that I've been invited to many different churches. Now I'm actually going to Guatemala in September, and they specifically invited me for this topic. They said,
that's awesome.
The alien stuff. And yeah, I got
that's really cool, because you people like sharing his documentary is big, because it doesn't talk about. We were kind of sneaky with ours of putting the biblical earth stuff in there, but yours doesn't have that, right? It's just just exposes the lie for really what it is and doesn't go into that aspect yet.
Yeah,
and it really isn't heavy hitting on the Christian thing. I mean, it's got Bible verses, but even Ancient Aliens uses Bible verses, but it's really showing you, this is what History Channel says, this is what Catholics believe, this is what New Agers believe, this is what Aleister Crowley believes and stuff. And when you see all the evidence, by the end of it, you're just like, there's no way that this is physical beings traveling here. It just isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, occultists are seeing them, right? Like you got on the screen. Aleister Crowley said that he saw a demon named Lamb, and he was communicating with this being, and he drew what it looked like, and that's what it looked like.
Yeah, just like an alien. And the thing is, what these demons were saying in his book, he calls it the Book of the Law. To mimic the Father's Book of the Law. If you go to Bible Gateway and type in Book of the Law, it's all throughout the Old Testament, because the enemy's copying that, and there's essentially the opposite. There's just do whatever you want. But these demons, something you said earlier about them bringing this, mainstream through television with the Star Wars and all these different things. The demon literally says they're going to bring the glory of the stars into the hearts of men, and that's where you see the biggest thing you could be right now as a celebrity is a movie star, a rock star, wish upon a star. That's what we grew up always with Disney. Wish upon a star. It was never say a prayer before you go to bed. It was make a wish upon the star. And we always, who didn't want to have a little ET at their house, to hide in their closet and make friends with this little demon creature, It's like, it was always to be brought into our hearts, and it is so deep rooted into people's hearts, the love of anything to do with the stars being distant suns and galaxies out there, to take away the firmament. Like they really did accomplish their goal of bringing that into our hearts, because we were in love with it. It was heartbreaking parting with all that stuff, and it's weird watching those shows now, knowing how fake everything is, but it's all demonic, and it's all to get us to believe in those lying signs and wonders that are coming.
Yeah, man. If you go to Walmart in the clothing section, everything is New Age, space, aliens. I mean, it's like I always want to like find a cute little shirt for my daughter or something. It's like, but they're literally tarot cards. Like it's a tarot card on a shirt that has a butterfly, and it's like, be yourself. And I'm like, dude, I know that's a tarot card. I've seen them a million times. And then you'll have like Baby Yoda, some kind of alien or something, and there's a lot of just prideful shirts like wild and free and love yourself, and just all these things that just so self-centered. It's like it's really crazy to see the times we're living in. Yeah,
when the greatest in the kingdom of heaven are humble, they're pushing pride. That's the enemy's thing. They'll devote a whole month to that, because it's so important to keep people from being humble. He doesn't want you to be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. They want you to be prideful.
Right. I believe that flag is way more than just representing the alphabet community. Like it's every time, like you can really look it up. When you look up the pride flag or whatever, you'll see a lot of like witchcraft stuff and the Baphomets and all this stuff. It really goes hand in hand with the occult. And so do these other movements like BLM and stuff, who the women who started that openly say, we talk to dead people. And I don't know if you've seen that. They're witches, man. They said, when I talk to, Shaneria, I just have a great time. We laugh together. And it's some girl who got killed when she was like 14 years ago. And they openly talk about communication with the dead. And Satan's just got a tackle box full of bait for everybody. If you're not into the occult, you're not into the dark stuff like I was. Hey, look, I got this new age. It's light and love and colors. And you're not into that. What about this social justice movement? What about this and that? And he's just causing division every way he can. And really, they're all uniting on this pride flag. and you just see, like, I don't know if you've seen some of the videos of just this rainbow flag, like on every pole, like near the Capitol or something. It's just like, how is this happening? Like, I think this is just Satan's flag, you know. Pride was what made him fall, and so they're just waving this counterfeit of Christ, of God's promise, you know.
Yeah, and I think they're really trying to get us to hate, because I'm seeing it make a lot of Christians almost like have hate towards gay people and sort of reject that community instead of minister to them and show them, you know, the truth, because they feel like it's them doing this, when in reality it's the powers way up high, BlackRock and all these people pushing it down, because they're sinners just like we were, you know. I remember I had an old man when we were young, we messed up, we got in trouble and with the authorities. We were probably 13 at the time, and you know, we just felt horrible. We felt so guilty, and we were kind of like that, you know, middle school homophobic age. And this older man, he said, well, you guys made a mistake. Y'all messed up, right? And we go, yeah. And he said, but you're still good people. You know, he said, these are people that are messing up.
That's right.
And they can still be good people. They can still be saved. And I'm like, man, that really changed my heart right then and there. Like, yeah, I'm a bad person too. I'm a sinner too. I'm doing all these sins. But I think sins that we can't relate to, we judge the hardest, you know, that someone else is struggling with. It's not your struggle, but it's someone else's daily struggle. And they don't realize they can be set free from that struggle in an instant. I mean, just a blink of an eye. He's done it with all of us with our struggles. We could not have walked away from our fleshly things if it wasn't for what the Father did, wasn't for his beloved Son doing what he did and all the sacrifices made. And it's free. It's a free gift. We don't have to go sell our soul to receive that. We receive eternal life, and it's a gift. It's literally a gift. It's not something we're having. Now we're slaves because we've done that. That's why people that do sell out are miserable. They can't have what we have.
And he set me free from alcohol and marijuana addiction overnight on New Year's 2013. And that's why, like you said, it's hard to have compassion or identify with people that with struggles that you never had. For me, I have a huge heart for people who are addicts, yet a lot of people look at them like, oh, they chose this path and why don't they just stop and all this. It's not that easy. This is addiction. This is a chemical dependency that literally makes you feel like you're dying when you don't have it. But that's no match for Christ, man. He can just, if you surrender, he'll take it away. But he's not a thief. He doesn't take anything out of your life that you're cherishing. So as long as you like that and love that, and even if you say, oh, I wish this was gone or whatever, you have to really surrender. Tell God, like, I'm completely done. Take this out of my life. I don't want it anymore. And he will answer that prayer.
Yeah. And I've heard very recently, some people at meetups talk about they're struggling with alcohol. They're struggling with this dependency, whether it be alcohol or whatever, marijuana, it could be anything. But I think for me, what I've learned, especially after I lost my mom, was one thing God showed me was we had watched her suffer terribly for the last month, especially, but it was so bad that you could not shake it and you couldn't stop seeing those images in your head. And you think, well, if I just have a drink or two, it'll help me relax and I'll be able to sleep. And quickly, something that you're just, it becomes a dependency. And I think for me, the word addiction is hard because I think it's more of a dependency. Change what you depend on God.
Amen.
And I think we feel like we have to depend on this, or, you know, it's like, I think these people get into despair thinking I have to have this to help me, when really God is the way that perfectly helps you.
That's right. Yeah. Those times that you felt like that were that's when the Father was looking down, like, I'm here, you know, turn to me. And we're like, glug, 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 and it just breaks his heart, you know. It's like all those times that, you know, he's longing for us to spend time with him. And it's like prayer seems to be a last resort.
Yeah, when you need him the most. And that's the sad father-son relationship that I think so many of us had with our Creator, is like, we're calling out on him when we need him the most. And it's like he's always there. That's what broke my heart, was like, I walked away from him for 4 or 5 years when I needed a healing. He healed me. He showed me why I was hurting. He did all these great things. And then who am I? Am I going to keep on this great path? No, I'm going to, of course, get sideswiped with things of life again. And just, you need him again. And there he is. And it's like, man, it's so humbling. Okay, you're listening. You love us. You're the creator of heaven and earth. And we can talk to you and you want to hear from us. It's so humbling, and it's free. And we just have a hard time doing that as a people with all these distractions. But I think the beautiful thing about your ministry and the truth about creation and all this stuff, exposing the lies, it gets people humble enough to really reach out and develop that relationship that will set them free from things like addictions, believing in aliens, and all those lies. So it's beautiful times to be sharing this stuff, because there's so much more information. Instead of just sharing Bible verses, we can share proof and things like that.
Right. I think it's really getting to a time when Christ returns, we're not going to have an excuse. It's going to be like, dude, you know how much a book, there was a time when a book cost thousands of dollars, and now we have literally every book in the library in our pockets. And I mean, even around the world, I heard a pastor say that he went to like some third world country where they didn't even have floors. It was dirt floors, and they didn't have electricity or anything, but they were saying, oh, we watch you every week on our phone. And it's like, so even in third world countries that can't afford, or they just don't even have sometimes food and water, they have phones, man. And they got, somehow they got internet and video and everything. And it's like, we're living in the information age, and we have no excuse. Ignorance is really just going to be our demise for so many of us.
Yeah. For their lack of knowledge.
That's right. Wow. Perfect scripture.
Yeah. People perish for their lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to really, really study. Like you said, so you'll have an answer. You'll have an answer right there. And you may not at first. And that just shows us, we got to stay humble. No, we don't know everything, but keep seeking and studying.
Another good proof that this is not what we're being told about visitors from other worlds is the drug aspect. So people, New Agers, they communicate with them. They pray and see them and channel them. But a lot of people, you watch Joe Rogan, you watch some of his stuff, these people that do ayahuasca and DMT, like, they see aliens. They'll tell you. Yep. And when you got multiple people on hallucinogenics seeing the same thing, you have to question, like, is this just something in your mind alone? Or is it really some kind of spiritual journey? The ancients all messed around with hallucinogenics for a spiritual trip. It was not just like we do, like, hey man, let's get wasted. Let's drop acid. Like, it was a spiritual ritual. And I think that's why they call alcohol spirits. That's why.
Yeah. Somebody was asking that earlier. Why do they call them?
Yeah, that's so true. And the only times that abduction experiences have been stopped, the only documented times where they've been stopped and the people weren't tormented over and over, was when they called out to the Father, or when they said, in Jesus' name, leave. These things stopped in an instant. People said, and it's documented, these cases, out of all the documented cases, hundreds. The only ones that would stop, and there's hundreds of them, were the ones that called out with this spiritual, showing that it's spiritual warfare, that it's not
some physical being from another planet's not going to care if you call on a Messiah that was,
right.
It wasn't real. There is power in that name.
Yeah, and they know the authority. It's about authority. A lot of people get caught up in the pronunciation of the name. The people saying in Jesus' name, they didn't know the correct pronunciation. These demonic powers know who you're talking about. They know that authority. The Father knows your heart. He knows who you're calling out to when you call out to him or his son. And so they know this power struggle.
Yeah.
And they know they know where they're at. They know they're not up here. They're lower. Yeah. Lower powers.
Yeah. And people, the testimonies, over the years, I've watched so many, because I was like into it. I was watching people's testimonies of being abducted and stuff. And there's many of them that say that these beings walk through walls, that they've abducted the person right out of the roof of their house, or right through the window of their house, like a closed window. So when they're recanting, I don't know, whenever they're remembering their story and they're telling it, they're saying, and it's like they still can't figure it out. They're like, man, these aliens, they just sucked me straight through the roof of my house, and they just think it must be like crazy technology. They don't think about it being, this is spiritual. This is it's really the same as a out-of-body experience, astral projection. All those things are like a real experience people are having, but it's not a physical experience. They're not. This is, angels have the power to implant thoughts into your mind. You look at, you read about Daniel and stuff, and it says an angel, I think it was Gabriel, the Gabriel angel gave Daniel a vision. So if an angel has the power to give you a vision and he sees all these beasts or whatever, then Satan and all his fallen angels, they're angels too. They have the power to do that if you are doing things that allow them to do that. When you're messing around with the occult, I don't care if it's you got a Buddha statue from TJ Maxx, get that junk out of your house, man. Don't play around with tarot cards. Don't play around with Ouija boards. Don't be, looking at astrology. All these things are an invitation. They might seem small and innocent and whatever. They're not. Satan, like I said, Satan's got a disguise for every person.
Yeah.
And he makes it look so fun and innocent. Let's wrap it up in pink and all these things. But when you do that, you're giving an invitation to the enemy. And
we've had situations where you talk about an invitation where people have had paranormal activity and they've called out. Somebody just talked to my dad about it, but somebody's also called out to me saying stuff's flying off the walls now that we messed with tarot cards.
People in our town,
innocent seeming tarot cards.
Both times we heard the stories, there was a woman in the house who was experimenting with tarot cards, the occult type stuff, and they're like, "Oh, now there's a demon in the house, and we need help." And they're coming to us asking for help, and it's always somebody is allowing this to come in, and they're inviting it into their life.
Yeah, they're not wanting to part ways with their practices. They just want you to get rid of the demon problem.
Yeah, they want you to get rid of the demon, but don't stop us from playing with this.
My grandma gave me these tarot cards.
Surely it wasn't them. Yeah, it's a real thing. The Father wouldn't warn us. I think it was Sean Griffin's wife, Lindsay, said the Father wouldn't warn us not to do something if it wasn't real. He wouldn't say, "Hey, don't do this fairy tale stuff because it's just a fairy tale." No, he said, "Don't do this witchcraft stuff. Don't talk to these familiar spirits like you're trying to talk to the dead. They're going to be demonic spirits deceiving you because they know about the person that died, so they can bring up some memory to this medium." And you're seeing that all the time. I watched a preacher get deceived in real time by this guy, and he drives around in a car talking to people, saying, "I talk to dead people. Hey, how are you?" And
it's gonna be weird, but listen.
And the preacher goes, "I don't dabble with that." And the guy's like, "Well, could I try?" And he gets him to do it. And as soon as he says something that one of those demons knew about his ex that had passed, he's like, "Keep talking." Next thing you know, he's got your heart. And that's where they took this guy. I mean, they took an innocent preacher and deceived him in seconds. I'm like, wow, that is crafty. And that's what these unclean spirits are looking to do. And they have done. They've done to people like you. And we grew up the same way, watching Unsolved Mysteries, loving the paranormal, aliens and ghosts. That was the two main things. And that's what, we're always looking up, trying to find UFOs, and we're hoping to see ghosts, trying to, it's getting you to invite things in. And it's dangerous lies, crafty lies. And it's getting better with their tricks. But my brother here, he's got to go.
Yeah, I got to dip out early, get my daughter. But
cool, man. Thank you so much.
It's been fun, Mikey. Thanks for joining us.
It has been
I'm
fun.
sure you guys keep it going while I'm gone. But y'all have a good night.
All right, you too, man.
See you, bro.
See you.
I didn't know if you had a time frame on it or anything.
Oh no, I know you probably you've been going at it all day. For those of you who haven't checked out Mikey's ministry yet, their ministry puts out a lot of videos. I'll bring it back up for anyone just joining in. Let me get the slides there. Little Light Studios. The link is in the description. If you can't find the link, I know sometimes YouTube changes. It's hard to navigate. Just type in Little Light Studios like you see here on the screen. It'll pull that up. They also have a Facebook and other things that are linked directly on their homepage. And Mikey's documentary that we've been talking about, Disclosed, is high quality. I mean, you could put this thing on Netflix or Amazon Prime. It's a real good one. And the guy we're talking to now, Mikey Jenny, is the one narrating and editing this. You edited this whole? Did you do this whole?
Yeah, thing? It's a project that I worked on myself. Basically, Scotty scored it because he's awesome and quick at doing music for stuff. And then I try to include a little bit of everybody. I got this guy Michael in our building. He made some CG parts for me and stuff. So yeah, we like to collaborate on stuff, but usually there's kind of one mastermind behind it. And so yeah, this is a story about my testimony. Really, it's told from somebody who got sucked into this thing, and kind of my thought process, maybe this does sound legit. That makes sense that, aliens led Moses out of the wilderness. And then it's like, but wait, what about this? And so, yeah, that's kind of how it goes.
Wow. Yeah, it's good. I'm telling you guys, it's really good. It goes really good with the final card that my brother did, the one that just
Man, that was so good.
Yeah, so not as high quality as the documentary. as Mikey's, because these guys, you guys do this as you guys are like a team where you guys know so much. I mean,
it's a full-time job. You guys are doing what you're doing, side hobby, man.
Yeah. So yeah,
props to you guys.
Impressive. It's impressive what you've been able to do, you guys as a team, and it's like how many of you are there in that ministry working together right now? Just like
there's 10 people in this building, but some people are technically work for another ministry, but we kind of separate some of it. But we all still help. Like one of the guys that work for the separate part, he's the lighting guy, he's the camera guy, he's the CG guy. And so we have a green screen, a giant cyc wall, they call it, where two walls have like this seamless curve on the floor and on the side. So it just looks like this green void. And we have a show on that sometimes with couches, and Michael, he creates the background environment, so we don't have to have like a physical set. We like to build physical sets, but they take a long time and they cost a lot of money. And so he did CG, and then anytime we're lit up and stuff, that's another guy. And three of us, sometimes four, sometimes five, we go out speaking, so that we actually get invitations to speak at different churches. And literally every weekend, one of us is gone. Last weekend, I was in Washington for a camp meeting, which was like, I gave 4 presentations over the span of nearly a week. And like I said, I'm going to Guatemala in September. Scotty's been to Brazil a bunch of times. Keith just got back from Canada. And so, yeah, we get invited to go a lot of places. I'm going to Arkansas.
Every time I follow you on Facebook and kind of see all the things you're doing with ministry, and it's like you're going to some country to preach, you're going to some church to share your testimony, and man, it's inspirational. Like I want to be. I look up to people like you who do these things and get out there and put yourself out there and talk about these things that people aren't talking to the youth about.
Yeah.
And so, those of you watching, man, pray for Mikey. I know that with all he's doing to these unclean spirits work that they've done for thousands of years to set this stuff up, he's going to need prayer, protection, and people
definitely
supporting it. He's in a battle zone. A lot of us are that share this stuff. It's a battle zone in your lives. So definitely keep him in your prayers and support. Go there. The best way to build up ministries like this is to go there and support them in any way you can, even if it's just watching ads. I know I still do that to a lot of my favorite YouTubers. I just watch ads on their channels anytime I can. Set the phone down, walk away, and come back when the ads are over. Anything I can do, because it's not easy to support people. Like Mikey's saying, a lot of people can watch him from somewhere where they don't even have wood floors in their house. They're walking on dirt, but they have a phone.
Give this video and every video you guys watch from us or FEB a thumbs up. Simple and free way to really help. I mean, unless you're a YouTuber, you kind of don't realize the importance of those things. Thumbs up, comment, even if you just say amen in a comment, all those interactions, even thumbs downs, actually help the channel. So I communicate with haters all the time, and I'm like, they'll give us a comment, some hateful comment, and I'm like, thank you for helping out with the algorithm, any interaction. Thumbs up, thumbs down, because YouTube is just looking at, whoa, this video got 1 million thumbs down, pump that thing out, it must be controversial, it must be, a lot of people are watching it, they don't care if it's positive or negative, they want to see interaction. So just remember that when you're watching our channels, to interact in some way.
And it's right that they call them channels. They want us channeling things.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
Channels. They hijack the language.
So much stuff is in our face. Hollywood, that's the wood used in a witch's wand, because the holly berries put you to sleep, and so Hollywood's just broadcasting its spell over everyone, and you hire a cast, which is interesting.
And wasn't the goddess of deception called Medea, like media or something like that? I seen a post. I'm taking this strictly from some post I saw. But it was like this goddess of like deceptions was called Medea, and then it had all the broadcasting stuff, like you're casting a.
But media is the plural form of medium.
True.
Same thing. Medium. remote control programs. You're watching, we'll be back to a regularly scheduled program. They literally call them programs. Like, you're being programmed while you're watching this thing.
Yeah.
Actors, we talked about being celebrities. You celebrate these people. They're the next American Idol. They don't even hide it. Stars, the Bible describes falling stars, angels, and all this stuff. So we literally idolize these people, man.
Yeah.
The influencers.
We did. Me and my brother, I remember growing up. It's like you just want to know who can I idolize and who can I be like. And for us, it was always like Jean-Claude Van Damme, or like he's
Marilyn Manson for me.
Somebody, yeah. And in the middle school days, I'm telling you, everybody wanted to be like the Marilyn Mansons and the people that were just like the gothic, the dark, and the darker the better. And it was weird. And we didn't have internet. We had MTV, and it was just constant. And you would come straight home and watch whatever show was on as fast as you could and watch all the music videos, remember all the lyrics, come back to school. It was like you couldn't record
it on the VHS.
Yeah, the VHS was a kind of a cheat code. A lot of people had. Yeah, we didn't. We just had the old. We still had the buttons you had to push on the TV. Channel up, channel down. Never had a remote. It was always like you had to go directly to the TV. The glass front TVs. People don't see those anymore.
The turn knob.
Yeah. Sometimes they'd be broken and your mom be coming in the room. You're like, turn the channel, hurry. It's not working. Many times we had those experiences.
Times. Watching scrambled channels and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It was a different time for sure.
Yeah. Jerry Springer, Beavis and Butthead started coming out. My mom's like, you can't watch those. And we're like, okay. And we come home and try to sneak and watch them.
Yeah. But why are you watching it, Mom?
Yeah. How do you know it's bad? Have you seen it? No.
Yeah.
We'll find out. Yeah. Oh, it's so bad. Many hours laughing like those two idiots.
Oh, dude. Yeah. When I was older, in like 2005, about 2005, I started working at Hot Topic, and Beavis and Butthead came out on DVD, and we had it there, and I bought it, and I was just like, how did I ever watch this? It's so dumb. And at that time, I was still liking worldly stuff. I loved Simpsons and Futurama, but I was like, Beavis and Butthead, I was just like, man, this is like really terrible. I don't even know how I laughed at this stuff.
Yeah, it's so true.
It was new and edgy back then.
Yeah, back then it was like no one was being dumb on TV. Now everyone is.
Yeah, Jackass and all those guys.
Yeah, they were really setting the bar low for the rest of us.
Definitely.
But heck yeah, man, it's been a blessing talking to you, Mikey. We need to do this more often, and I'm so glad you came over the other day. And I was sitting there just thinking about it, and I was like, I've never had him on, never had this chance. So this is a small part of his testimony. Those of you who might get to see it other places, it is extremely powerful, humbling. He's come a long way through all these different deceptions, and the Father has just put him in such a powerful position right now with the youth. And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about the show. Are we allowed to talk about the show?
Yeah, about to be.
It's about to go real.
Kids show.
Yeah, he picked up. I mean, literally, like through prayer, somebody was guided to Mikey to say, "Here's this. I'm retiring. Here's the show." And I mean, that was pretty cool to hear about that, because this will be something that reaches the youth, and it can be like one of these unindoctrination stations. Because I know I've been wanting to do stuff to help people with homeschool, and that's the same type of thing. You're helping people, giving them things to watch to deprogram them with new programs on your show. So that's going to be awesome, and I'm looking forward to that.
Monday I get to really start full time on that project. So somebody will be kind of filling my position on editing and all that stuff here, and then that frees me up to brainstorm and start recording and editing things that are going to become children's shows. So super excited about that.
Dude, this is so awesome. I'm excited too. Hopefully this grows and we could all contribute. There's so many people in the community who can
I need all the help I can get
ways with singing or music and video skills, all these different things, man. There's so many in the truth community now that the Father is uniting. So that would be extremely awesome. Before we go, though, I did want to give a reminder. We're having gatherings. You can take a screenshot of this or whatever. We're going to be traveling out west, going to California, coming back. And so I'll be out of town for a while this summer. And so any of these dates or locations look good to anybody to meet up in that area. If you're in these areas, Flagstaff, Arizona, Anaheim, California, Laramie, Wyoming, or Wisconsin Dells, send us an email, the email that you see on the screen, flatearthbrothers@gmail.com. And we can
add you to our list of people to hang up. We're not or hanging out with. We're not going on tour. I repeat, we're not going on tour. Just having gatherings. I don't know if I'll have access to a projector, so it won't be anything too fancy. Just hanging out and having a good time. But
you don't have a projector, bro?
I do have a projector, but I'm probably going to bring it just in case we get there and they have like a conference room. But I think a lot of people
projecting on a wall, man.
Yeah, that's what we do. You saw the high tech stuff we were working with at our meetups.
Yeah, man, I love it.
He's been there. It's top quality NASA space age technology stuff.
That's right.
Even though the projector stand that I had fell over and about destroyed the thing.
No,
it was duct taped to it after that. I made sure it was duct taped, so that was
Smart.
good. My dad brought the duct tape. But yeah, but it's been a blessing, man. It's been almost an hour and a half.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share on here. And I just pray that, you know, if somebody was watching this that maybe was confused about the whole topic, maybe this is, you know, got the wheels turning. And if you know somebody that is struggling with this, New Age or aliens or any of that stuff, definitely share Disclosed documentary with them. Definitely share Final Card. There's another documentary called Starfall. There's a lot of information out on this topic right now. So surely one of those three will be very helpful in your arsenal to help show people that this is not just visitors from other worlds. This is a demonic deception that is going to really take people over. They're not gonna know what to think. This is like world historical deception here. So I think we need to be prepared and get people ready.
Sorry about that, guys. I accidentally left the stream somehow.
Yeah.
Touched something.
I thought you were just going full screen on me.
Yeah, my touchpad. Yeah, so good. I'm glad it worked out just in time to make it full screen. But yeah, I don't know what I did to my touchpad. Everything just went out of here. Like I hit the back arrow or something. But yeah. So yeah, heck yeah, man. We will do this again when we get back in town after the July madness of traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Look forward to watching your growth. And those of you who tuned in, thank you for learning along with us and seeing some of the things that he has to reveal about this upcoming deception. Or not. I keep saying upcoming deception. It's already here. The deception is here. We're not in we are in the deception, the early stages of it. But yeah, it's going to fool a lot of believers. So pray for these people that their eyes be open, just like people have been praying for us that our eyes will be open to a lot of these things, because the truth about creation is one fast way to wake them up from this lie. If they're not ready for it, send them the Disclosed documentary in the description, and it will really help do wonders, because it's that topic in itself has helped bring people to the truth about creation, to the biblical earth model. So definitely a good place to start. All right, man. We'll see you guys later.